Hello again, it's your internet dad, here to share life lessons that I offered my own sons in the hope that they'll be useful to you. Today is part of my Dress for Success series, and this deals with accessories. Remember, if you like any of these series or you have a friend that may find them useful, share the link or subscribe to the series. Always remember that I'm only offering the basics here. I'm not trying to constrain you in your own sense of values or what you think is attractive. But if you abide by the basics I offer you, you will very rarely go wrong. So it's a good way to start. Now, the most famous arbiter of men's clothing in the history of mankind might be Beau Brummel. And he was a man who lived in London 200 years ago. And he is celebrated today as the possible father of the business suit with the notch collar that you see today in suit jackets and blazers and the like. He was in many ways a vain and foolish man, but he did have some sound advice. And one of the most important ones was he argued for simplicity. He also argued for nothing garish or extreme in what you wear. He said, in effect, if people remember you for what you wear rather than who you are, you're a failure. Now, Beau Brummel didn't practice this himself because he was the almost sole arbiter of fashion 200 years ago, but the rest of us can and should do. He was arguing for, in effect, the complete look. And that is what is the subject of my talk today. Now, in terms of accessories, women have it all over us. They can have their necklaces, bracelets, earrings, bejeweled watches, etc. Us males don't have a lot of choice, but that means we've got to make the right choices on the few examples we can have. Now, I'm going to talk about gold today as a recommendation for many of the accessories, but remember that doesn't have to be solid gold. It can be gold plated. It works fine just as well. Now, our jewelry is limited to watches, cufflinks, tie clips, rings, and an honorable mention to belt buckles and shoe buckles. Now, I'm going to talk about watches at another time, but we're going to go over accessories today, remembering Beau Brummel's adage: keep it small, keep it fine, keep it discreet. Let's start with the belt buckle. We're all happy with the thought of wearing a cowboy belt, maybe and play at that gig. But in business and in many other formal occasions, you're not going to be able to wear that. I recommend a discreet sized belt. This is a good example. It's not gold, it's not silver, it's darkened metal, so it's not that easy to observe and attract attention. It does have that wonderful invention, the reversible buckle, which I heartily recommend. If you're on a business trip and you need both brown and black belts to go with your outfits, you now only need to bring one. On the shoe buckle, about 20, 30 years ago, Gucci brought out their famous slipper with the horse bit bridle. There's been other copycats, and this is one of them. It's by Cole Haan, but they all look pretty good as long as they're discreet. Wedding rings are, of course, always fine, but less garish the better. The signet rings should be discreet, maybe a little bit more obvious than the one I'm wearing, but the obvious example is college rings, which are very clunky. They came into fashion many, many years ago, and they haven't got any smaller since. Tie clips are an option. I find that usually it's not a good idea because it spoils the vertical line of your tie. But if you're going to walk around with your suit jacket or blazer undone and it's a windy day, they're very useful to have. I find gold is the most attractive, but remember, it's gold plated, not solid gold. Keep it simple. Cufflinks should by tradition be oval and gold, somewhat like the ones I have here. These ones are chain linked. You can also get them obviously in torpedo or various other versions of that. Now, as an accessory, a cufflink might seem to you to be a labor-intensive and really irritating thing, fumbling to get this cufflink on, standing in front of the mirror. Well, try what I do. I put the cufflinks on the shirt cuff before I put on the shirt. Then I put on the shirt in the normal way, slide my hands through the closed cuffs, and you're ready to go. It actually takes less time than trying to button up a button cuff. Now, there's another rare item of accessories which you may come across, which is the gold studs or black studs or silver studs that you would wear in the shirt front of your tuxedo. They generally come in sets of 4, and they can be very finicky to put in. Do what I do. Put the bottom 3 in and close the shirt. Put the top stud in, but don't shut it yet. Your top button will not be done up at this point. Slip the whole thing over your head and your hands through the cuffs. Do up the top stud, close the collar button, put on your black tie, and you'll be ready for action in half the time. I hope that's helped you. You may be curious as to what happened to Beau Brummel, this amazing individual. Well, he died penniless in debtor's prison and insane. And that shows you that you shouldn't be too serious about what you wear. But I hope you'll follow my advice. Till next time.